In conversation with some fascinating ladies who've changed the game in the world of video, music, and gaming. Only on Hungama Game Changers podcast.
Hi, welcome to Hungama's Game Changers 2024. Over this season, you will get to know women who are chalking their own path and paving the way for the multitudes to follow in the field of entertainment across music, video, and gaming. I'm Ronak from Hungama, and it is my pleasure to welcome the game changer, Richa Singh. Co-founder and CEO of FanClash and Spectator, and through her unwavering success, Richa has consistently debunked widespread stereotypes about women in gaming, especially leading the business and becoming a key player. Welcome, Richa, and thank you for taking the time to share the knowledge and shorten the learning curve.
Good morning, Ronak. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you taking the time to do this interview. My pleasure to be here.
Okay. Let's start a little bit by talking about the journey, getting in, getting accepted, and actually decode for us what you did with FanClash and what you're doing with Spectator.
That's a very long answer. So a short background would be I grew up in Lucknow, typical middle class upbringing. My parents were with government, and so a typical path was to go through engineering or doctorate. So I went to IIT, that was Kharagpur. Then later I went to IIM Ahmedabad for MBA. I was in a very linear IIM career, which was banking, and then I was a consultant in a couple of countries. Post that, around 2016, I said I don't want to do it. I was 2014 grad from IMA, so I did jobs for a couple of years. Then I said I don't want to do it. I want to do my own thing. Then I started my first startup, which was BigStylist.com. It was beauty services at home. I did that for 2 years. It didn't quite click with me, the operational heavy nature of it. Then I said I wanted to do something that was product first, and that's where I came to FanClash. FanClash is my second startup. This started in August of 22. The whole idea was that esports is the latest sports of the world. There were enough evidences I could see around for that. Evidences such as the scale, the adoption, then marquee name of sports such as Asian Games, Olympics, etc., including esports into sports, governments talking about it, etc. The largest stadiums no longer being football, it being of in Korea of esports, etc. So esports look like the latest sport. So I pretty much said that whatever was built on sports will also be built on esports. That was the thesis. So I went on to build FanClash, and in the current form, what we do, we started with creating AI. First, we did fantasy for esports, which post the regulation change in GST and both post-COVID and in COVID, the government of India had certain reservations with Tencent and Chinese company being owners. So there were regulation strikes. So we stopped doing fantasy. Then we said we'll do AI for esports and sports. This was around 22-23. After 1.5 years, we pivoted. Now what we do is we use AI to clip out highlights, to meta tag the entire video stream of IP holders. That could be esports game of several hours, or it could be a football game for several hours. It could be cricket, and we work with several leading names in all of them in esports, such as Blast from UK. It's one of the biggest organizers, Sky. Then on sports side, we work with leading European clubs. Then in IPL, we work with certain teams. So we pretty much took our computer vision technology and pivoted to AI company for esports and sports. That's what we do currently. We have 40 people here in Gurgaon, all based out of NCR. The team is a very vibrant, happy team. And I love my job every day.
That's fantastic. What a transformation, Richa. You know, from a mainstream and very operations, real world kind of background of a little bit of finance, and even in beauty where it's a very touch and feel service. What made you cross over into tech, or was tech incidental to the fact that you could see esports as a trend?
No, tech was not incidental. Tech was core. After IIT, my first job was a data strategist. So that was a lot of coding. Right. And post MBA also I was in financial consulting with Oliver Wyman, but the cases I was put on was all data heavy, etc. So my background was coding data. Both beauty and esports or sports are things that I have enjoyed in life, or I feel I understand and want to do something in. So both parts of it are with me, like esports, beauty or tech. All parts of it were with me for last 10-15 years, I think.
So tell me, when you were growing up, आप बहुत games खेलते थे?
गेम तो मैं स्पोर्ट्स खेलती थी ग्रोइंग अप. वैसे मैं गेम भी बहुत अच्छा खेलती थी. Fourth standard I had all that Mario and everything. I think I excelled at everything, and then we had PS at home. But I also was into sports. I'm a national level swimmer. I'm a UP champion swimmer. So I've always had that kind of background. But what brought about Fan Clash was around 2019 when PUBG hit the scene of India and it went viral and everyone was playing. People in my office were playing and I caught up with them. So I started playing a lot of PUBG and then I started streaming. So I just got into that world around 2019 a lot. So from there, because I was in that world and I come from an analytical background, I could see the industry sizing and the industry adoption and scale and TAM, etc. But my transition to I want to do completely gaming happened because of the mass adoption with internet, with cheaper phones, with better games and etc. around 2019, 2020 in the world.
Tell me, Richa, there's I think now there are a lot more women playing games.
Yeah.
But still, I think a lot of the decision makers continue to be men.
Yes.
Tell me what it's like making sure that when you have a seat at the table, you are also heard.
Yeah. See, you play to your strengths is one thing, and our strength happens to be, so it just going back to beginning of this answer, you are right. Everybody I interact with in esports is a guy, mostly everybody. I think once or twice we have hired a woman Palak and couple of influencers on the marketing side, but other than that, all the teams, all the org owners, everyone, ESL, Blast, and in India Sky, all of it is run by men, and the leading gamers are men. And so the team you have, who do you hire to do Counter-Strike tournament or fantasy or highlights is also men. Right. So it's been all men, but I feel the future belongs to women in the sense that things like care and love and nicer workplace and just nicer people to work with, the ease of doing business, a big component of ease is human interaction. To that extent, being a woman, I think, has given me a leverage that I was one of the very few women. People are willing to give me time. People are nicer, more supportive with me. Of course, they are. If they're 30% nicer people, they're 70% still walls that you run into. But you pick up those 20-30% people, basically a niche who want to work with the women or who want to support women businesses, who are willing to listen and work the way we like. So it creates a niche also for you if you're one of those very rare women in the industry.
I really feel, and I think you would be the perfect person to sort of also expand on this. Up to 49, some people say 53% of women, of gamers are now women. It could be casual gamers, it could be serious gamers. Unfortunately, it's a much smaller number that actually identifies as being a gamer. You could play games for 2-3 hours on your phone. You may even have a habit of occasionally playing on a console or a PC. But I find most women will not say, "Oh, I'm a gamer."
Yeah.
And I think that also stems from, just the environment. I think the language inside the game, and then the language in the headsets, and the chat groups. How can we make this? Because this is the one sport in the world where the physical difference does not compute.
Yeah.
And yet there is such a strong gender divide in serious gaming.
Yeah, you are right. I think one part of it is also fundamental. Just the way women came much later in education and corporate ladder, and we are still nowhere. We would be like 20% on the boardrooms of India, etc. So one difference is also that it's a new industry. There's a certain societal shift that you need to push for yourself to become a gamer. You need to keep telling your parents, "I don't care, I want to play," etc., etc. Society is still not very supportive. Women do that way later than men do. Women need support and etc. to be able to do that ladder. Just the way we promote women in corporate ladders or in funding, etc. So women will come once the industry is more mature, because otherwise you're fighting society a lot. The other thing, of course, you're right. Everywhere I go, all the teams, Fanatics, blah, blue, Indian team, international team, everything is men. So women don't identify. I think it's also like women call out themselves at 50% of what they are in most field. If I'm 10, I'll probably say, oh, I'm 8. And
Yes.
then if they're 10, they'll probably say I'm 12. So
Yes,
that's the
you're
30.
100% right.
So for women to say कि हाँ मैं gamer हूँ या मैं बहुत, even in normal society, everyday conversation, even on the headset, it will take them to be at 14 before they call themselves 10. So a bit of that, but also a bit of पूरा structurally उस career में जाने के लिए जितना आपको force लगाना पड़ेगा, women don't have that kind of support system yet. So they could be
डर
casually.
भी लगता है, Richa. Tell me,
Yeah.
in your experience, Aj, as the CEO of esports support company or a sporting back-end company, but also even in the rest of esports as you see it, can it be financially dependable? I think women tend to take less of a risk when it comes to, I do need to have my security sorted.
Yeah, Ronak, that is totally true. True. There are two parts of the question. So first part, can it become financially providing career? It is still time, at least for our country. You know, the things like banning games and banning Free Fire, banning PUBG, or these things are very strong. It's like we banned making movie. Now all the directors, producers, writers, they will just go back to where they came from, and to rebuild that whole Bollywood will be like a decade work. So
Right.
these regulation, etc., have not helped. They make the industry financially not very dependable, even for men. Like I've worked with all the leading teams. I think at one point they were all my sponsor. Like we were sponsoring most of them, and organizers, etc. I've worked with most people in the country, outside country also. In the country, it's very, very difficult. Regulation has to be more stable. Those are very extreme regulatory strikes. So it will take time. Outside countries, still possible with the advent of Twitch and YouTube and the reach, etc. But in India, India hasn't given that stable tenure to esports altogether for anyone, not even for teams, for organizers, anyone, to just become a pure play esport financially independent person or business or a gig worker, etc.
In fact, adding to what you said, you're right. Policy itself has come into gaming so late. And, having policy is not a bad thing. Just stability is, I think, what everybody in the business hopes for, so that there is a foreseeable sort of outlay that you can plan for, and how to color between inside the lines.
Yeah, you just need to know what are the rules of the game so that I can put in anything to become financially viable. It could be our education or a typical job. It takes 5-7 years. Like if you don't get that 5-7 years ahead ka visibility, then what are you investing your time and your youth behind? Gets very difficult to do. And even if you put in the 7th year, the game changes because the regulation has not been stable. So policy stability is needed. Yeah.
So tell me, as you see it, do you see a fair amount of the gaming experience going to move into the VR and the headsets?
Yes. How fast, how soon is anybody's guess. It's Jensen's guess, it's Zuckerberg's guess, it's my guess. The latest classes were like mind-blowing. Bloomberg was full of, they have never seen anything like this, etc. So we are the whole obscuring that VR sets do on eyes, that's not flying. The newer ones, the one Meta just did a release on, are way better. It looks like normal glasses. Even Google's is a way better one. So I think it will go towards it. How fast, how slow? Even Meta came back and said it's not for production, it's just for display. So it could be another couple of years before we'll get there, but it makes all the sense to me that it is a trend that will hit eventually.
And so you think even your esports will start moving there?
Yeah, any content will start moving there. Our word files will start moving there. Our games will start, it will become spatial. It will become around us.
Yes, I have to say, outside of the gaming or the intentional browsing experience, it's also terrifying because now you're walking down the street and you have the ability to, have this layer of information added into the Meta glasses. I have seen some of the videos. I have been checking them out, and I think that we really are living in a world, and I say this often, we're starting to live in a world that only the gamers believed possible.
You might be so correct. Or if I could extend your thought, only the sci-fi makers and watchers believe was possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, even just virtualization and things like that, this is something that, was inherent to the gamers.
Yes.
And it, people outside the industry still found it, they found it irrelevant. And I think that's what's changing now. Tell me, Richa, it's been a bit of a varied career. It's also been a career, even though it's such an inclusive world, gaming, it's still a very closed community of insiders.
Yeah.
How did you get into the inner circle, and what were the things that you did to make sure that you were, able to have that access, the insights, the trend spotting?
Ronak, I'm a girl brought up in 90s in Lucknow, like tier 2, tier 3 city, and from there to become a swimmer, like who was swimming, which women was wearing a swimming costume and swimming, and things that my life has, the bricks that my life is made of. Everywhere it was just like, and back then it was child's naiveness that I do what I want to do. But now I understand that it's a pattern. I do what I want to do, and I'm willing that it can take way longer. It could be meandering. I would have way more struggle. It will be slower or faster. But that has never bothered me. Like, my natural thing is कि आपको जो करना है आप करो, आप करते रहोगे तो success तो हो ही जाओगे, which I know from my past life कि हो जाती हैं चीजें. So for beginning, I never think कि where will I get access more or not. That is the thought process कि आपको जो अच्छा लग रहा है, आपको esports you feel is booming and bursting and you want to play there. I've never felt कि I need to think if it is my industry or not. The other thing also that I know from my past life is hard work. Basically सब कुछ hard work से हो जाता है. If you're persistent and hard working, कि आप किसी चीज में लगे रहो तो आपका IIT भी crack हो जाता है. आप मतलब you pretty much get everything that you want. It can take time and sometimes you might not, but input के सिवा there's nothing else to do. So I just whatever I like, I go after it. Things like this, even if something like beauty is so our thing, or makeup is so our thing, does every girl go on and create a HUL or a Lakme? No. So everything is tough. So uska jo delta toughness hai, just because there are fewer women, it doesn't bother me.
I absolutely agree, and I think you're also right. Sports teaches you a lot of grit. It teaches you to roll with the punches, take the losses, which I think a lot of people don't see. They see day 3000 of your journey, and they don't realize that pehle 1500 din mein there were many different types of struggles and insecurities. Tell me, Richa, does imposter syndrome still become a thing?
See, imposter syndrome is real, Ronak, and it's not.
It is real.
It is more prevalent in women than men, but it is also in the most successful men. So we raise funds from Sequoia and Falcon, and we raised 40 million. And earlier also I've raised from InfoEdge and even current investor. So I've worked and with banking and with consulting. I've been with Merrill and HK. So top of the order capital markets, top of the order professionals, and that kind of journey. Har jagah, everybody, no matter who that person is dealing with imposter syndrome. So it's very real. It is at all levels, even wherever I am, however little it is. It is true every day. I feel that am I being understood for what I actually am, or what they are thinking? Am I that? So all that insecurity or doubts, I think it's a part of human nature. It's there in everyone. Most of the people. There could be exception, yeah.
You've had some changes and shifts and pivots. Do you plan? Do you visualize and manifest also? Or do you just step back and plan? So that's why you are where you are today? Or has a lot of your career happened to you?
I follow trend lines a lot. I try to imagine what will be big in the world in next 10 years. That is an exercise I do a lot, and I try to pursue that. Like my father was GST commissioner, and you know, typical Lucknow background, people are like, "You good at CADs, you have to become an IS officer." Now, when I thought about that as a child, I was like, "This job will not stay lucrative." It looks like right now, and because you know digitization, blah blah blah. So I was like, "This is not going to be fun. There'll be more scrutiny than power in this." So I figured that 20 years later, it'll not be so much fun. So I didn't want to do it. So I just try to visualize 20 years later, 10 years later, what will be big, and I try to pursue that. That is the way I've mostly always shaped or moved my
How
life.
old were you when you were doing this forecasting for your own self?
IAS वाला तो आई स्कूल में मेरे को चमक गया था कि ये तो
I am so impressed. I think I was still figuring out how can I bunk school tomorrow.
No man, there was too much pressure. Like if you're very good at a CATS, no, then the pressure is not just from your parents, relatives, society, सब चढ़ जाता है.
नहीं, और खुद का कितना pressure हो जाता है, because then you've got to sustain that rank, those grades, those marks.
I feel रौनक as women ना हम पे वो pressure कम आता है क्योंकि inherently the way our societies were structured, like I feel I have less of that pressure than my co-founder has, who's a guy, who's a man, because इन पे ज़्यादा आता है. हमने जितनी भी success कर दी, at least for my family it was like that. Everything is like in a thank you bucket. Oh wow, thank you. But if men don't do it, then it is like, oh my god, their expectation is that you will become big, and if you don't, you're a failure. For me, it was like if I did become big, it was wow. So
okay, so I understand that absolutely. But tell me, do you find sometimes or at different points in your career, especially you know when you were more junior, that you worked harder than a lot of your male colleagues just to make sure that you weren't going to be perceived as the woman in the room?
That is true even now, and I've realized that more and more
Yes.
as I've grown in my career, कि women have to work 130% of what
Yes.
men have to be perceived at the same level. That मतलब in younger age में कोई ये this जानकारी नहीं थी कि ऐसा हो रहा है. But now I can tell very clearly कि at all stages, all women have to work 130 to 140% or higher to be perceived at 100% of their men counterpart. So that is true. हमें सब कुछ perfectly पता होना चाहिए, कोई error नहीं होना चाहिए, कोई loophole नहीं होना चाहिए before we open our mouth in a meeting or we are heard. Men will glaze by saying nonsense at 10,000 feet distance on a subject जिसके बारे में उनको hardly 2% of what you know पता होगा, but they'll speak it with all the confidence. And I've seen that from like now I see this trend. I see that all the way up. कितने भी important board meetings हो या several billion-dollar founders in the country that interact with, etc. Men are more easy to open their mouth up on a subject that they know far lesser on or have worked far lesser on.
Oh yes.
On. Yeah. तो वो अभी भी है, and अब मैं बता सकती हूँ कि पीछे भी रहा होगा.
Okay. You know, one of the things that I also I was doing a panel at the Apple office.
Mm-hmm.
And talking to a lot of young women founders, and you know, it's really easy to say, you know, find the balance, take time out for yourself, all of that. But I'll never forget this one girl right at the back put her hand up and said, you know, how do you, because everybody says don't feel guilty, you know, if you're doing this, don't feel guilty, don't second guess yourself at home and at work. And this girl put her hand up and said, but how? Yeah. And so I think my question to you is, in a space where you're obviously working with high stakes expectations, you're also working in a space where you have very high level of perfection that's required as an output from your product. And also, you know, at a much higher elevated level of the game, how do you balance?
It's with comfort with anything, comfort with water, comfort with traveling on the road, comfort with driving, comfort with anything comes when you've done it. Comfort with not feeling guilty or knowing that your male counterpart probably doesn't know 50% of you. All this will come when women have enough exposure and have done enough. Women historically have not gotten so much opportunity, only now they are. So I think in another 10-20 years, we will get more comfortable with with whatever we are able to do at our jobs or at our home, and we'll feel less guilty कि इतना ही होता है, किसी से भी इतना ही होता है. We are, with the advent of internet and infinite content on everyday women life and everyday lives, we are beginning to feel कि सबसे इतना ही हो रहा है, ज़्यादा अपने आप की पिटाई, you don't have to beat yourself up. So I think as we see more stories, like I'm sitting here and telling you कि I have imposter syndrome, I'm sitting here and telling you कि persistence के सिवा कुछ नहीं कर सकते आप, outputs are not known, etc. As we hear to more stories, we know more people and we know कि सबका यही हाल है, then we'll get more comfortable. And for me personally also, that has what has worked. पहले मेरे को ऐसा लगता था, like if you read this book by Horowitz, Hard Things About Hard Things, he says this and that कि सारे फाउंडर्स A+ लोग हैं, वो सारे ऐसे लोग हैं जो अपने टॉप स्कूल्स में थे एक्सेट्रा, मोस्ट ऑफ देम आर लाइक दैट, एंड देन ऑल ऑफ देम सिट एंड फील लाइक फेलियर एवरी डे. नाउ आई फील लाइक अ फेलियर एवरी डे. आई फील लाइक वो टीम का क्या हुआ, ये क्लाइंट तो नहीं बना, वो क्या होगा, बोर्ड क्या होगा. आई फील लाइक ये फेल हो रहा है, वो फेल हो रहा है, वो फेल हो रहा है, वो फेल हो रहा है. And then when Horowitz tells you that every founder felt like they are at 30% performance level when they should be at 100, then you realize कि सब 30 पे हैं, तो chill है life. So with
I think also as a founder, as a, as you go up the leadership stairway, it's lonely. It's lonely because everybody else has you to count on as a backup plan. You are standing over there kind of trying to figure this out entirely on your own. Richa, in those situations, tell me, who do you lean on? Who are the people that have helped you while you were trying to, get ahead?
I am so blessed, Ronak. And again, I'm so blessed with the best kind of people. But again, I will say there was input to create this best set of people around me. वो भी free में नहीं होता. So everything takes work, but I'm blessed with a wonderful set of people. My co-founder is my best friend. My husband and I went to IIT together and we did most of our journey together. We understand each other's work. So my husband is, I feel he is like 200% of what I am. So I will always go to him for any advice, anything that gets stuck up. My team is fabulous. My head of business, Shifa, CCO, Smita, they are again very powerful women like me. So it gets very easy for me. Anything fucks up, not going fine, I can talk to Shifa very openly. I can talk to Smita very openly. Then lot of founders. And Ronak, हमें ऐसा लगता है कि we are alone. Like so something when I was pivoting to this highlight sports and esports from fantasy, it felt like the world is coming crashing down because I've raised so much money on esports fantasy and now esports is banned and fantasy has adverse regulation. What do we do? There's a very tough board. I have top hedge funds as my investor. What do we do? And I had no one to turn to. And I started reaching out to these Decacorn or unicorn kind of founders who have seen the journey way more than I have. So that was Radhika from Shop Clues. There was Nitin from Chayos and a lot of other people. They were all so responsive and so helpful. तो अपना भी काम है कि if you're lonely at the top, then figure out people who are at more top, who we are okay to open up with without feeling like they will figure out that you're in crisis. And
I actually think this is such an important thing, and I hope all the women listening remember, ask for help. 9 times out of 10, you will get the help you ask for.
And that's a very high number, Ronak. 9 on 10 is very high. Itna probability hai, to please ask for help, है ना?
Yes, I know. I was talking to somebody who told me that when she was struggling as a founder and trying to pivot, she started sending messages on LinkedIn to women that she thought were, who had been able to pivot either in the space or just from a business point of view. And she said it's incredible the kind of feedback that she got. And then the kind of platforms that they started including her into and pulling her in. Complete strangers that she did not have a friend who recommended her as a reference, nothing. Sent a message to some of these women on LinkedIn. And so many of them responded. Even DMs on Instagram. So many of them responded with an exact specific answer to your specific question.
Yeah, that is so true. And so I told you profile of someone like Radhika from Shop Clues. She helps me a lot. She's like 5-7 years ahead. She helps me a lot. And people like, to obscure the name, say a fund of the scale of Tiger Global, their legal head, he happened to be my school senior. Now I've never interacted with him. I wrote to him that how do I get this done? He got on a call and walked me through, and so people are so willing to help. So yeah, if you ask, people do help 9 on 10 times, and that can make the journey way easier than you worrying in your head and not figuring out and crashing your system.
Tell me, Richa, for a lot of people who want to make it both in gaming and also, women who want to be founders, give them some forecasting pieces of advice. What are, according to you, at such a disruptive time in the world, in terms of technology and AI, what are some of the things that they should be keeping their eye on? And, one lasting thought for the ones in charge of their destinies and starting out right now.
First of all, whoever is starting up, it's a very long journey, very tough. When Elon Musk says that doing your own startup is like staring into abyss while chewing glass, keep that in mind. And know that you are okay to do that for 10 years or more. If you want to do that, do it by all means, because the world will be changed by people like you who are willing to chew glass and look into abyss forever and build something futuristic. So do that by all means, but it's a very, very tough journey. All this glamorization of funding and interviews and LinkedIn's and TV, do not fall for it. See what you want. If you want to make money, is this the shortest way of making money? If you want power, this is the way you want to do it. If you want to create a change, you want to take on this whole battle, do it. Go after glamorous stuff and do it. Steve Jobs says that if you got to create anything, you'll have to do it for so long, for decades, that you better love it. Else you'll just give up in 5 years, 7 years, somewhere in the middle. So you got to do it only if you're going to do it for very long. So that is one piece of advice. Know it very well. Don't do it for societal pressure or anything else like that. You have to have that DNA and desire. If you have, do it. If you're going to do it, be patient. It's a very long game. Be very patient. Be very thoughtful. Other thing is people create value, people destruct value, people is everything. So your relationships are very important, both upwards, downwards. Your team is very important. Your team is who builds iPhone, who builds Metaglass, who builds Zomato. It's not Deepinder, it's not Steve Jobs. Your team is very important. So treating your people right all through is going to determine who are the people who stick with you to build that iPhone, to build that EV for you, etc. So people is important, relationships is important, wanting to do it for very long is very important, and does it make you happy? Please figure that out. And if you've not figured that out, it is all right. Do it for 2 years and realize. So don't put any pressure on yourself to know it today, know it tomorrow, but don't put your pressure on yourself on either direction. That अब मैं इसमें आ गई हूँ तो मुझे कर ही देना है, या मैं इसमें जाऊंगी क्योंकि ये glamorous है. No pressure. There's enough opportunity for all of us in the world. Staying happy is more important.
I think that's succinct and vital. I'll add to that one thing that I tell a lot of women, that when you decide this is something you no longer want to, can do anymore, it's okay. Yeah. And if you you feel the pressure of going out and dealing with it, stand in front of the mirror and figure out that one sentence where you are going to, with brevity, explain, this wasn't working for me anymore. This is what I'm doing now. And it becomes a lot easier to have a conversation or a response in your head, because otherwise I feel like there is still so much stigma associated with failure that it holds a lot of women back from even trying.
On the topic of failure, I will just... there are several people who want to be in my place. I feel at least a small percentage. I have failed a lot. And most big founders have failed a lot. I didn't crack IT in the first time. I dropped a year, did it. IIM नहीं हुआ मेरा, दोबारा किया, हो गया. Startup एक नहीं हुआ, दोबारा किया. I'm way better now. Failure is a part of it, and कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. Where you end is what matters, and journey में be happy. So yeah, failure का जो load है ना, वो आपको पीछे खींचेगा कि oh my god, am I going to fail? Have I failed? You have never failed. As long as you're trying, you're working hard, you're always succeeding. You're better than 99% of the जनता who didn't even try or went through 2 failures. So आप already ahead हो. दैट डीएनए कि आप फाइट मारते रहोगे, फेल हो, वो कहते हैं ना गिरते हैं शहसवार मैदान जंग में, वो क्या गिरेंगे जो घुटनों के बल चलते हैं.
Correct.
तो as long as आप शहसवार हो और लड़ रहे हो, you are a winner already.
Richa, one thing that we ask all our game changers to do is to nominate 2 women in entertainment across gaming, music, or film for the long list for the 2025 cohort. We have a jury that takes the final call, but the same way that we are celebrated, we would like you to start amplifying others.
Ronak, that's very thoughtful of you. These little things go a very long way in bringing our women up and putting them on the table. Thank you for the awards and recognition you have given and conferred on me. It does help a lot. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. On the 2 nomination, I will come back to you because I do want to put in a little more thought into it rather than giving you off.
Sure. You can send me an email and I look forward to hearing from you. Riya, thank you for joining us today. It was lovely talking to you and learning from you. And congratulations on the many mountains you will still climb.
Thank you, Ronak.
This is Ronak from Hungama. Thank you for tuning in and stay with us as we meet more women in entertainment who aren't just playing the game, they're changing it.
In conversation with some fascinating ladies who've changed the game in the world of video, music, and gaming. Only on Hungama Game Changers podcast.